Competitive play update, teaming up for better matches. With Season 5 now underway, we'll be bringing up new improvements to competitive play, including matchmaking updates, bringing back a popular ranked game mode, as well as testing new ways for friends to play together regardless of their individual skill levels. Let's look at the competitive play stands today and where we are looking to take it in the months to come. So I think a lot of people think matchmaking is really, really bad right now, and has been pretty much since Overwatch 2 launched. Let's see their perspective. I don't know if they actually agree. And my take is that like matches are always going to suck no matter what the skill disparity is. Like people just don't want to see players of like multiple ranks away from them in their games, but even when it's people of the same rank, they're still going to hate it. So for the last few seasons, we've been working on making improvements to matchmaking with a focus on competitive play in an effort to bring players of equal skill levels together. Notably, this season, we started to prioritize placing similar groups with wide skill ranges into the same match. While this makes some queue times a little longer for large groups, it helps ensure a fair match. In the previous season, we started to provide a matching rank to show how close each player is to the overall skill rating of the lobby. So basically, the start of the game, there's like the rank in the middle, along with showing you where you stand in your skill division and how close you are to reaching the next rank. So it says like the percentage thing below your rank when you rank up. We hope this provides more transparency in your matches as well as your progression as you continue to climb. Game director Aaron Keller posted his thoughts on how one-sided gameplay can occur in his latest Director's Take blog. We've already read that, and we're continuing to make changes as we find the opportunities for improvement. We also want to continue to provide you with competitive experiences for each different style of play, which is why for Season 5, Competitive Mystery Heroes is back. I wish they allowed stacking Competitive Mystery Heroes. I don't even know why they don't. Is it like something with like competitive integrity or something? But it's fucking Mystery Heroes, man. Come on. Your internal matchmaking rating, or MMR, is adjusted after every match. Not just when you get your competitive update, it goes up and when... Not just when you get your competitive update, it goes up when you win a game and goes down when you lose a game. However, how much it goes up or down is based on the variety of factors surrounding the match. Here are 3 important factors. The most important ones. What is your skill rating compared to the opponent's rating? How new are you to Overwatch? How frequently do you play that specific competitive game mode? Interesting. Very interesting. To address the first bullet, a player that can beat a stronger team will have a greater increase in their internal MMR rating. So if you play against people that are much better than you, then you go up more. The stronger the average matchmaking rating, MMR, of your opponents, the more challenging it should be to win the match. While it is important to keep the average MMR rating of both teams as close as possible, very rarely are they precisely equal. We want to make sure that we can deliver a fast queue time for everyone at all times, so sometimes there'll be greater differences between the two averages. So the way I read that is like I assume that, when it makes a match, it assumes like there's a 51% chance Team A wins and a 49% chance Team B wins, and it probably has like a differentiating factor of up to like 3, so like 53% to 47%, potential, for each one to win, and like it makes a guess basically on that. That's at least what I read it and how I interpret it, but maybe I'm wrong. Secondly, your experience and how much you're keeping up with your skills also important factors. When a player is brand new and qualifies to play competitive play, our matchmaking system has very little information to assess their skill level. So this is basically when the bronze player makes a new account and places like gold, and they're like, see, I was gold all along. It's like, no, brother, if you play enough games, you're going right back. In most cases, we can get a broad understanding of their current skill in as little as 5 games, which aligns with their first competitive update. But this is just broad estimate, which is why new players will see their skill tiers and divisions change.
Why am I being...
Listen, I will come back to it, I promise. Let's see, it's broad estimate, which is why new players see their skill tier and division change frequently. Yeah, this is like the bronze player makes new account, goes higher. But this also is like, I think like anti-smurfing technology, basically they're trying to figure out if you are like really fucking good at the game fast, and they'll put you higher. So that's the hope, it seems like, but Yeah. And this takes us to the third bullet point. The same can also apply to returning players who have been inactive for some time, which is one reason why we remove skill tier / division if they don't play in that competitive mode for a whole season. I don't really like this because people come back and they play like 1 or 5 games. You know, like they play enough to either get like a rating or they just play like a couple games in the season. That's kind of like being inactive. I think there should be a requirement of like at least 5 games played or at least 10 games played or at least 15 games played for the whole season before they get a just like if they don't play, let's say 15 games for the season, they are deemed inactive, you know, that way you know, those people that like rank camp. So like this used to happen in Overwatch 1 where they were called the placement Andes at the end of the season. Everyone, the queues were just terrible. End of season was always terrible, and you always had the placement Andes who would come back, play their 5 games or 7 games or 10 games so that they could get their placement. And once they got their placement, they would get their competitive points for their gold guns, etc. And then they fuck off. And it was like they were basically trolling games for multiple seasons, because when you only had to play like 5 or 6 games a season, you can't drop that fast. Even if you go 0-6 every time, it will take you like 4, 5, 6 seasons to actually drop a good amount, which is insane. You know, low key, that's me. But you're like, I can't even blame you because you're incentivized to do that, but you shouldn't be incentivized to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? So, whether you're a new player or someone returning to Overwatch 2 after an extended break, the key is to keep playing games. Wait, did I finish this one first? Wait, maybe I didn't. Losing their, wait. Let me reread this one. I don't think I finished it. The same can also apply to returning players who have been active for some time, which is one reason we remove the skill division competitive role for a whole season. Inactive players will have their MMR lowered through in their absence. Will also increase the uncertainty rating for the longer the player is inactive. This uncertainty rating allows players to gain and lose MMR more quickly, so when the inactive player returns, they can jump back to their previous rank if they perform well, or they can lose MMR faster if their actual skill has decayed. Yeah, so like that would kind of apply to like what I was talking about a little bit. You could slow how much their MMR is like changing as long as they were playing at least a few games a season, but if they weren't playing like at all, like ramp it up quick. Whether you are a new player or someone returning to Overwatch 2 after an extended break, the key is to keep playing games. The more you play, the more information we will have, and the more confident the matchmaker will be about your current skill tier and division. They got to figure out something about the alt accounts, though, genuinely. The alt accounts have gotten out of control, and everyone's rank camping at this point, especially at high level. Even if you know what, I'm gonna open Overwatch real fast. I'm gonna just take a peek. Top 500's out. I haven't even finished all my games yet. I still need to win 25 games to get placed. Let's go look at top 500. Number 1 player has 28 games played. You need 25 wins to get top 500. The number 1 player has 28 games played. 50, 50, 40. A little bit of an outlier, but Hattie's a pro and probably practices way more. 50, 30. This is actually a little bit higher than last season already. 47, 39, 43, 42. But the problem is like, as the season goes on, if these numbers don't change, then we're in big trouble. You know, like let's go last season. Last season was, oof. Yeah, last season the number 1 ranked tank had 35 games played, 44 games played, 56 games played, 64, 50, you know, 51, 60, 49. You know what I mean? Like, this is literally rank 1 players, and they don't play because there's no point. If you do, you actually go down, if anything. So I'd like to see something be done to force people to actually play on their main account, because that would make the competitive experience better, even by their wording. In these adjustments that change your MMR each game, and it's with your current MMR that we determine what match is best for you every time you queue. Keeping the ranks competitive. Oh, look at the juice. Going into Season 5, we've been seeing that there's more players in Grandmaster than in the past. Really? I've been wondering why I've had so many snipers recently and like people spamming and saying the most heinous shit. It's all the former Diamond players that have gotten boosted up with rank inflation. I can't wait till they asses fall back down. This is happening for a few reasons. The biggest factor is that Overwatch 2 being free to play means that we have more players coming to play competitive than ever before. That is true. And this is shifting the distribution of ranks. This is also true. For our top ranks, we're seeing more players able to reach and maintain higher ranks than they have before. That's the problem, though. This last part, that's the key. Why is that happening? Of course, there should be more players like there should be more players up at the top rank, because like that's how skill distribution works, right? Like it will, like as the tides rise, everything rises, you know, all the boats rise. But at GM level, you're talking like top level players who have been playing this game for 7 years. There's no way a new player jumps in and comes to this level. It's not possible. Like you'd have to put in like years. So what actually happens is that the former Diamond and Masters players get bumped up, and then the former Plat and Gold players get bumped to the Diamond Plat, you know, and like they just keep bumping their ways up, you know. So like the people that used to be around here got bumped to here, the people that used to be here got bumped to here, the people that used to be here got bumped to here, you know. And so everything rises up. But the problem that's created is that up here you now have this massive skill distribution of really fucking good old players, and people that were Diamond that would get shit stomped by those really good players now are constantly in the same game because of the same rank. But the difference between high level top 500 and GM1 is like miles apart, but it's both the top rank, so it's hard to explain that to somebody because they're both technically GM1, but once you've hit the top, there's no ceiling, you know. Like it's like Apex where 10,000 RP is Masters, right? But Predator right now is like 114,000. You know, like top 500 Apex is 114,000 points, but to get Masters, which is like the highest level before top 500, is 10,000. So you need 10x the amount of points that takes you to the highest level to get to top 500 in Apex. Overwatch is kind of doing the same thing, where yes, you're GM1, but like you're light years away from what's actually the top level players, you know what I mean? That's the big problem, and it's hard to describe that, and it's hard to, you know. The one thing I want to point out is we don't want to gatekeep anyone just because it's an older rank forever. If they win games, and they will climb. If they lose, they will drop. Well, yes and no, though. Because when you talk really high level games, like you expect everyone to be on the same playing field, but they're not anymore because the amount of players has risen. So you had what was considered in Overwatch 1, this very small group. Like I would argue it's probably less than 3,000 people in NA GM top 500, you know, with alt accounts and all that stuff. Now you've expanded that to, let's say, 20,000. That 3,000 player base is still smoking everybody. But now they have a chance to have the other 17,000 in their games, and the quality is just off the chart. Like, it's just like either really high or really low, and that big fluctuation makes the game really unfun to play. So I'm not saying like gatekeep them, but it kind of is, because the skill disparity is so different, but the rank system doesn't reflect that. Because of going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, it's kind of artificial, and you can't blame anybody, you know? You can't blame anyone for that, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy thing to solve. Like, what I'm explaining is the problem, not the solution, because I don't got the solution. I don't have it. Honestly, the solution might be to make a new rank. There might need to be a rank beyond GM. Realistically, it might have to happen. But I even then, I don't think that solves the problem. I just heard people suggest that before. That's not my take. Anyways, let's continue. I've been ranting. Also, this is the distribution now. Gold is the highest. Plat is second highest. Silver's third highest. Diamond is fourth highest. Bronze is fifth. Then Masters and GM. That is way different than I thought. Because at the launch of Overwatch 1, these two were massive. So now it's here. So this looks a lot like the old chart back in the day. I wish this was numbered over here. I wish this was numbered, because I don't know what these ticks are. There's no like axis labels. Each bar is 2%, you think? So yeah, less than 2% is GM. That would make sense. About 2% is Masters. What is Diamond? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be about 12%. A little over 12%. That would be slightly different than what it was in Overwatch 1. Very interesting. Okay. This is a good thing to show, is that many of our players are growing in skill. In any case, we want to make sure that the top ranks feel competitive. While we think this distribution of ranks is working well in general, both Grandmaster and Bronze reflect a wide range of skill, and we want to make sure that skill is well represented. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem. Because so the big problem Apex is having right now is they changed their ranking system so much that like everyone's masters now. And so no, masters in GM masters in Pred is basically like pub lobbies. And now it's shit. You know, like you just have the top level players just running through everybody. And it happens in Overwatch, where if you get Overwatch League players or Contenders players in your games and there's not an Overwatch League player or Contenders player on the opposite team, you just get smoked. You just lose. Like their level of skill is so much higher than like these former Plat, Diamond, Masters players who've been pushed into GM that they just get shit on. They have no chance. Zero. Like legitimately zero. And that's why I said like it's bad. But in Apex they have the same problem where now everyone's masters. So you have the actual masters and Pred players in the same lobby as all the masters players, and they're just running through them. They're just farming the lobbies. And actually the strat in Apex is to figure out who the Pred player teams are in the game and avoid them as much as possible, which is crazy. Specifically, we found that more players have ended up in Bronze 5 than we want. This is mostly an unintended side effect of adding MMR decay for inactive players in Overwatch 2. We started making incremental adjustments in Season 5 to enable these players to climb out of Bronze 5 in a way that doesn't upset the distribution of the curve. This is a plan we plan to issue closely monitor. I have an answer for this. The answer to this is to not decay people that are below gold. Legitimately, that's the answer. Don't decay anyone that's like below gold. Like there's no point. Silver and gold isn't real Overwatch anyways, like half the time. You know what I mean? Like it's basically the people that play once every, 2 weeks with their friends, and they get on to fuck around on Genji. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's no point in decaying anyone in bronze and silver. There's no point. Don't do it. I would say even gold is like we could talk, but have decay apply to people above gold. And that inactive decay, and I think you solve this problem. I think it just don't have them decay. There's no point. In our main competitive modes, we require players who group up together to be within a certain skill range of each other based on their skill tier and division. For Grandmasters, we cap the number of players who can group up to stacks of 2. While these grouping restrictions work well for a good portion of our players, we still want to find ways to elevate full team competition. I think Valorant actually makes it so as long as you're a 5-stack, you can basically play together whenever. I think there might be some limitations on it, but you can. It's pretty generous for Valorant, but not at the top level. Like we're talking like most of the ranks. Top level play, it's a little bit harder. But yeah, I've mostly lost a lot of hope in the fact that we'll ever get stacking even back for high level play. And I actually think that you should just make it so it's solo queue, duo queue only for all ranks. And I guarantee you, public outcry would be so fast that they'd change the rule immediately. That's my take. It's more of like a rules for thee but not for me type of deal. If it did apply to most people, it would change real quick. But because it doesn't apply to them, they don't care. For Season 5, we're introducing Team Queue as mid-season competitive mode. This mode will require you to be in a full group of 5 players in order to queue, but there are no grouping restrictions whatsoever. This means a team comprised of players of any combination of ranks can play with each other. Team Q skill rating will be separate from your skill ratings in the competitive role queue or competitive open queues, and only applies to you as an individual, which means you can change teammates at any time. The rule set for Team Q will be role locked to 1 tank, 2 damage, 2 support heroes, so plan in advance with your team and decide who will play each role. We're trying to figure out Team Q as a first step to improving our core competitive experience for Overwatch 2 in the future. The crawl, walk, run. We considered alternate versions, including a solo queue only mode, but we wanted this to be a test alongside the availability of the current competitive rule set, so as not to impact queue times in the main modes. Players should expect matches in Team Q to be more challenging and play out differently due to having no skill rating restrictions. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the limited time mode that will launch on July 11th. That'll be very interesting. That'll be a really, really interesting time. I am very much looking forward to getting stomped by Overwatch League players. It will be fun content. People will laugh and they will go, wow, you guys suck.